Okay, we're going to start out tonight with a public hearing on a violence, vandalism, substance abuse report.
Thank you, Ms. Becker, and good evening, everyone. On an annual basis, the school district is required to report at a public hearing the number of acts of violence, vandalism, substance abuse that occurred in the previous school year. We report incidents of violence, vandalism, and substance abuse to the board on a monthly basis. At this meeting, I'd like to review a summary of the incidents that occurred during the 2015-2016 school year. In terms of violence, which is fights, threats, assaults, total incidents of violence were up from 24 to 33 acts in the 2015-2016 school year. Vandalism incidents were up from 4 to 7. However, there were no costs involved in the district. The previous year, 2014-2015, the district cost was $9,578.60, property damage to an elementary school playground, which ultimately became the responsibility of the offender after the courts were involved. Substance abuse incidents were up from 14 to 28 this past school year. Part of the reason for that rise is that we had 6 students that were repeat offenders, so which they accounted for 12 substance reports, all of which were from marijuana. That is up from the previous year when we had 2 repeat offenders. Out of the 6 repeat offenders, there is only 1 still currently in the school district. Another reason for the increase is that we have more highly trained staff that can identify issues in the schools. When a student has a positive screen, our student assistance specialist or our SAC work with the family and get the student involved with an outside therapist or a program that specializes in drug and alcohol issues. The student assistance specialist also puts the student on a school plan that will help the student while they're in school. In addition, individual and group counseling is also provided for those students. Although we did not have any positive tests for heroin last year, we are looking into the use of Narcan. Narcan is an opiate antidote, and that is used to save a life. It blocks the effect of the opiate, and it reverses an overdose. The New Jersey Department of Education suggests that we create a policy and a procedure that is well vetted before implementing any type plan. Strauss Esme is working on something right now for us to look at in the near future. In terms of police notification stemming from any incidents in our schools, police were notified 41 times in the 2015-2016 school year. Of these notifications, 13 complaints were filed. This is up from the previous year, where we had 33 times we involved the police with 12 complaints. In terms of weapons in the schools, we went down from 8 2 years ago to 3 this past year. Harassment, intimidation, and bullying. In 2015-2016, there were 253 total HIB investigations throughout the schools with 62 confirmed HIBs, which is up from 35 confirmed from the previous year. The reason for this really is the investigations, confirmed incidents are due to the efforts of our trained staff and their understanding that we must investigate any and all HIB-related type incidents. Our student assistance specialists, school counselors have increased our individual and group counseling efforts, provide valuable crisis counseling for students and their families, and many serve vital roles on their school safety teams, which are charged with reviewing and addressing different HIB trends that might be in each building. One area that we are concerned with, and we continue to be concerned with, and it's something that is not just an East Brunswick issue, but it's really across the country, is cyberbullying. We've increased training for our staff. We're looking to be more proactive by addressing social media issues. We've added cyber safety and cyberbullying awareness presentations. and we've added sources of strength for our secondary schools to provide our students with support and assistance with these issues. The district's efforts to prevent school violence during Violence Awareness Week have been previously reported by Dr. Valesky. These activities will continue on throughout the school year, so we continue to remain safe schools. Activities were organized in all of the schools during Violence Awareness Week to prevent school violence and highlight the importance of school safety. In addition, our administration and staff review policies, regulations, safety, crisis procedures, and important topics promoting student safety regularly. Some examples of the activities that were in our schools: sources of strength, peer and adult mentoring program activities, distribution of honor and integrity pins, teen dating violence videos shown at the high school, buddy activities in elementary schools, positive messages, school spirit days throughout the district, mentor programs at the elementary schools, assembly programs, stopbullying.gov webinars, cyberbullying programs, door decorating contests, Do Now curricular activities, and 21st century coaching workshops, to name some of them. I'm happy to report that due to our effective training of staff, the work performed by our school security coordinator, Paul Natalicio, and our security team, Supervisor of Student Services, Danielle Blaylock, our student assistance specialists, school counselors, nurses, teachers, support staff, our administrators, that we've made significant strides in training and understanding what the needs of our students are. We have more work to do, and we will continue to do that. We appreciate the work of Dr. Valesky and the support of the board as we move forward. The additional school counselors at the high school and at Churchill, as well as our increased security presence, has had a positive impact on school climate and our students in all our schools. In summary, East Brunswick schools are safe schools, but we continue to look for ways to improve our school climate and throughout the district to make it safe for all students, all staff, and any of our visitors. We have strong administrators, well-trained student assistance specialists and counselors, teachers, nurses, support staff, wonderful students, and supportive parents. And we continue to look at proactive approaches to address the safety of our over 8,000 students and over 1,000 staff in our 11 schools.
Questions from the board? Dr. Cohen?
I just wanted to thank you for that report. I think it's critically important that we, as a district, remain diligent, proactive, and those are the approaches that you've been describing and we've been implementing for years now. The issue with heroin and opiates has reached both state and national levels right now, and the fact that we are actually being proactive, talking about Narcan, recognizing that this is a problem, working with the police, working with all of the professionals that we have in the school system, and making sure that we approach it from that type of viewpoint is the most that you can do to prevent what ultimately could be a poison once it gets into a district, and it's very difficult after it's thin to get that out, and to know that it's a problem that the state has recognized, to know that there's districts surrounding us that have that problem, and to think that that could never happen here would be the height of foolishness. And so I congratulate you and hope that we never let ourselves up, because when we give up on being proactive is when we're going to get burnt by a problem like that. And I myself, I'm speaking, I think, for everybody on the board, would never want to see that happen.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Lou, I have a couple of questions.
Sure. Wait.
I'm sorry. Oh, no, I didn't see
Well, you can go first.
Oh, okay, sure.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
You're the boss tonight.
I didn't see your hand out of my, So Lou, for instance, the substance abuse numbers you referred to, those are not the number of students, but the number of incidents.
Right, positive drug screens that went on the Evers.
Okay.
This is the Evers report, so everything you got tonight was what happened and what was reported to the state and federal government.
Okay, so I want to go down to in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension numbers.
Okay.
Do those also reference number of incidents or number of different students? Were there 30 different students placed on out-of-school suspension, or were there 30 incidents and there were several repeat offenders?
There are 30 different students.
Okay, so we have a noticeable rise in school and out-of-school suspension. What do we think could be a reason for that, and what are we doing to address it?
Well, there are a few things that we're doing. Number one, if you look at what we're trying to do in terms of being proactive, I think that is really the key in terms of making sure that our students understand and their parents understand the importance of understanding the discipline issues, understanding, for instance, a lot of what you see here tonight. Many of the students that were offenders in one way or the other, whether it be HIB or drug offenses, had been suspended, had been out of school suspended, or in some cases in school suspended for some of the younger grades. So that's a problem. So what we try to do is make sure that everyone is educated on what our issues are, what the areas are, what the concerns are. And there are going to be ebbs and flows. Some years we're going to have more out-of-school or in-school suspensions and more HIBs and more issues. But I think training, not only staff, but also our kids, making sure we have positive support programs. One of the programs that I see Dr. Gaskell here tonight, PBSIS, has really helped us in our schools. But as I said before, it's a work in progress. We're going to continue to look at finding methods of trying to address each one of the situations. And absolutely, we feel our kids should be in school, and we want them in school.
I understand that it's going to ebb and flow, and that some years it's going to be more than others. And I don't know, maybe Dr. Valesky may want to chime in. But it seems to me that this is increasing.
It is.
And I'm particularly disturbed about the number of out-of-school suspensions, as we've discussed the fact that for some children this may not be any kind of punishment, that it means that they are out of school on their own at home. And what are we doing in terms of intervention?
So as you've heard, being in school is very important, but also maintaining a safe environment at school is very important, and a zero tolerance policy for violating our rules and regulations. We have we have discipline procedures that need to be followed and adhered to and administered consistently. And so I would share with the board that you're likely to see these numbers rise before they begin to fall. And because we're sending a message that we're not fooling around, that if you decide you're going to do something inappropriate, that you're going to suffer the consequences. But our primary focus, if you suffer a consequence, it should not be the end of your educational career. And so we are working this year to develop, along with the county and support of the board, an alternative educational program that we could house here within East Brunswick that would give students the ability that if they have been accused of an infraction, they get to come back to school in an alternative setting and complete their coursework with the intention of working towards graduation with their peer groups. That's what we intend to do. And so we're trying to support children and families, but yet send a very strong message that we need to maintain a very, very safe environment within our schools.
Okay, thank you. Mary?
The theme tonight seems to be we need to be proactive on things, and I would like to say that I think that Mr. Figueroa was rather proactive in his comments this evening, because as you can imagine, when at least when I took a look at these numbers, frankly, I was very, very concerned that things are going in the wrong direction. And rather than having our children understand more about harassment, intimidation, and bullying, perhaps they aren't really learning their lessons well. I do believe that the programs that you mentioned are things that can help eradicate and maybe lower some of these numbers. I certainly feel that it is extremely proactive to try to develop this alternate program. And I think it's just something we have to stay on top of, as a school district. We can't allow ourselves to be so concerned about the raw numbers that we forget how well we have done with so many of these areas already. And I do believe that since the inception of the HIB law, that I think we've all learned a lot about how words, actions can hurt people, and that we need to be trying to take the high road in all respects. So, thank you.
Ms. Shaw, if I just may add to that, and I appreciate those comments. All of what we try to do and all the programs we look at are research and data-based, well-proven, and have long-term positive effects. And as you say, sometimes, we're going to go through those periods where we have to just stay the course because we're going in the right direction. And we do handle each situation with each child as an individual situation and look to what we can do to help the best we can each individual child. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Clarification question. Under the offenders and victims, student offenders, is that just the HIB, or does that also?
No, that's everybody. It's any student offenders
So it's any,
and
it's
victims.
drugs, it's weapons, it's
Right.
everything?
So in some cases, you may not have a victim. You just have an offender.
Okay, that's because we had 155, and then when you went to student
Right.
victims, it was 88.
Right, so.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's, all right, thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else? Thank you so much, Lou.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate the work that you and your staff do.
I
Thank you.
appreciate them, and thank you for the support.
And now, we will open this to the public hearing. We open this to the public for any comments on this specific item. Seeing none, I close this is the public portion only on that specific item. We're going to have a public portion on anything else in a minute, okay? Okay, so this is a public portion on the public hearing on violence, vandalism, substance abuse report only. Seeing none, I close the portion.